Hello, this is Ramesha with vocalbliss.net, and I would like to talk briefly about the importance of expanding vocal range for speakers. We normally talk about expanding our range in terms of singing, but it's important to also do that for speaking, and I'll explain why. There's at least a couple of good reasons for that. One is that when you talk, you don't want to be talking all monotone like this, all on one note, because that, besides being really boring, it doesn't really give a good image of you as a speaker, and by reflection also, it doesn't give a good image to what you're saying. You might be saying very good things, great content, but if it's delivered in a monotone like that, it's just not quite as appealing and not quite as compelling. So being able to modulate your voice, going up and down, also following what you're saying and sometimes expressing feelings using movement in the tone of your voice helps enliven your talk and keep it really fresh and interesting. The other reason has more to do with the mechanics of the voice. A lot of speakers who end up then having vocal issues tend to talk in the very lowest part of their range. Sometimes they even push their voice to speak here in a way that maybe sounds more authoritative. I don't know what the reason might be, but doing that in the long run really is really detrimental for the vocal cords, and you end up with vocal issues, sometimes inflammation, and the symptoms you get is that you end up not being able to talk for extended periods of time without getting tired, because you're forcing your pitch to a place that's not natural for your voice. So for many speakers, the solution is to force yourself to raise the pitch of your voice and speak at a higher pitch, but not that in a way that you have to force yourself to do it high. It's just finding your natural pitch, which for many speakers is higher than what they normally would do. So I want to show you a simple exercise that you can do to help your voice expand the vocal range, and think of the vocal cords as two muscles, which they actually are. And so as you work on expanding your range, what this exercise will do, it will also gently stretch the vocal cords and make them more able to cover a wider range of sounds, so that when you speak, you have more variety and more color that you can put into your speech. So the exercise is very simple. You're just going to hum, and as always, make sure you use the diaphragmatic breathing correctly. So, so you take a breath, and then you hum, and as you hum, you go up and down the range like a siren. And if you feel self-conscious, maybe, I don't know, do this in the car where nobody can hear you. I don't know. But it's a very good exercise. So inhale and then and make sure that you keep your lips relaxed. You should feel a little buzzing happening, and keep your throat relaxed. You don't have to go very high. It doesn't matter how high you go, as long as you move, you actually change the pitch of your voice and go from low to high and back. And do this a few times. And the humming helps to make sure that you don't strain your voice, that you don't strain the throat, and keep the sound into your mask, which is where it belongs. So I'll do it one more time. And make sure that your breath is supported from here, and from your belly muscles, so that the sound can happen without any constriction here. Okay, so practice the siren. It can really, really help you. And in general, uh, listen to yourself, maybe even record yourself, and listen for whether you are speaking in a range that is not your natural range. For many people, this happens only when they're giving public talks, not when they're having a normal conversation. So maybe have someone record you while you give a talk or you're teaching or whatever, when you're more in a professional mode, because that's when that tends to happen more. And see if you actually end up speaking in a range that is not your natural range. And then practice raising your pitch and speaking at a higher pitch, and see if that helps. And again, this is Ramesha with vocalbliss.net, and I wish you all the best.